Acquaintances agree, friends argue. And that's a straightforward one. The better friends you are, the more openly you can disagree with each other. So feel free to present a counterpoint if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Argue away.
Sure, all right.
Not a promising start. Okay, forget what I said. Just go along with my advice. Do you know the saying, one forgets the hurt once the wound is healed? And that, of course, means, where'd I put that piece of paper?
Did you say something?
No, nothing. Forgetting the pain when the wound's healed means, that you have to get better fast. Yeah, that's it. So stock up on those rations and bandages.
Is that really all it means?
Hey, I'm the expert here. Snake, have you heard this one? Evil is human nature, and his entire being falseness. The concept of so-called original sin. The idea that you're born bad, so you can't help doing bad things.
Hold on. I thought the idea of original sin was that you had to work even harder at being good because you were born evil.
Yeah, that too. Very good, Snake.
Ugh.
You know the story about Achilles in Paris? The moral here is, something about his heel. Anyway, even the great and virtually immortal hero Achilles was finally done in by Paris. Talk about a dangerous city. So don't get complacent. The mission can turn around and get you.
Wasn't Paris a person?
What?
Paris, I thought he was a...
Snake. There's a time and a place for conspiracy theories. Please, I'm trying to concentrate here.
Huh? Sorry.
What is up, gamers? Welcome to episode 34 of Casual Master Quest. I am Nick, your host for the show today. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Tyler. Hi, Tyler.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Things have changed. War has changed. I've changed.
Sure.
Oh, man.
Okay. Tyler, you're sounding a little bit different there. Any particular reason why?
It sounds weird to me because I'm speaking normally, but now that I know I got this sweet-ass mic in front of me, I kind of want to play it up a little bit. Like, hey, what's up, people? My name's Tyler. But yeah, I got a new mic. I upgraded over the week. It feels pretty damn good. I've only had one person call it ear rape. So, yeah. And I was doing the Blue Yeti, just a plain one. It was a nice USB one, and it served me faithfully. But this time around, I decided I wanted to turn my love back into XLR, and here I am. I would say between $200 and $250 for the whole setup entirely.
It's not too bad, especially for the kind of production quality we want to hit, or we strive to. These are good upgrades.
Hell yeah, because the nice thing about the Blue Yeti in general, it has a N-board DAC, or digital analog converter.
Right.
So you just plug it in straight to the computer and it's good to go. But, having a tiny little thing in the mic like that, the Blue Yeti is pretty big. And that's why it has that kind of size. But to buy both a professional mic and then a professional DAC to convert it properly, you can tell the difference. It's a lot crisper. It's a lot nicer. As it turns out, the power of money actually does something.
What a surprise!
I know, right? Don't worry. I appreciate you and your blue snowball as much as I possibly can.
I do the best I can on a student budget.
That is fair. I'm gonna say I got this Yeti I'm no longer using, so if talk comes to talk. But I feel like I feel like you've somehow managed to put the that snowball in such a good use that it served you faithfully, and I'm amazed at how well you sound with it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, audio is a big thing for me. I've always been interested by audio, and I'm always trying to make sure that I can make myself sound as best as possible, which is hard sometimes because we are very biased to our own voices and how we want to sound, but we never know how it's going to come across to other people. So I do my best to make sure that I'm trying to get as much feedback as possible. I did want to be a sound engineer, like a music producer at one point, so I did do a little bit of self-learning.
That is totally acceptable too, and quite frankly, I realized that normally in natural, my voice sounds god awful. It's nasally, it's kind of weird deep. and I like to go in these weird high octaves every now and then, just I'll just throw it in a random direction, and I think I do that whenever I get nervous. But the main point is, the moment I realized I wanted to do something where people would hear my voice, I wanted to edit it into something as, maybe not manufactured. There are some cool people out there that have amazing voices. I do not. However, I do now have the knowledge to make it sound, moderately attractive, or at least in my head, what is, moderately attractive. Until I become, Optimus Prime at this point, where I start adding body parts to my larynx and all that stuff, and I'm like, look at me. I'm now attractive audibly. Roll out, Autobots. But it's doing pretty good. I enjoy it, and quite frankly, I want to give a big shout out to Voice Meter because wow, Voice Meter can change a lot, as it turns out. Ooh.
Voice Meter is doing the God's work, pretty much, by putting out such a sophisticated software for practically free. Right, it's donationware, so if you feel like you're getting the best out of it, you can go ahead and donate as much as you want. And they even have an accompanying software called Voice VAC, Virtual Audio Cables. I couldn't think of the word.
Okay, but yeah, beyond that, I ordered the mic when I went onto a trip for or one of my times I was just sitting around in the truck because I'm doing a weird phase or experiment with my job right now where I'm not actually driving unless somebody's on vacation. Now, before I was training throughout all that period, I was telling it was like, it'll only be 6 weeks. Well, it was not 6 weeks. It was much longer than 6 weeks. And when I was done training, if I wasn't going to be taking over for somebody's position, I was going to be working in the warehouse. That has no longer happened. I am now actually riding along with the drivers to A, learn the route, and B, help them out to make it a little bit smoother just in case. And it's gonna be a lot of time to look at stuff like on Amazon. In fact, there was a chair on Amazon that I was also eyeballing because quite frankly, this beautiful high quality luxury chair that I think my best friend got from Goodwill has not been doing me that good. Now I'll get a little TMI here. Are you guys ready for this? I'm very sorry for this. With it. So this chair is a nice sturdy wood leg chair. It's, I would say, 80% wood. With a very, very thin, not even worthwhile for carpet, thin material over it. It's very stiff. And I was never really the stiff type, but when it comes to gaming, I was okay with it. But for some reason, this damn chair is so fucking stiff that if I sit in it for more than like an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'll try to adjust myself around to get a little bit more comfortable. Right, and like the slow moving pinches my balls. I kid you not. Just this slow, horrible, unenjoyable pain of trying to play a game, and just slowly but surely your vast deference becomes in mortal danger because of your gaming chair. That is not acceptable. And so I've been looking at cool chairs on Amazon. Right. It's like what chairs won't murder my family? I want to have a future here. I don't need that stretched out. It's good where it's at.
No. Oh,
what's the matter, Nick? Nick's got real quiet over here. It's like I have no input for this.
No, I was gonna say you probably want to go for something that has office chair ergonomics. That's probably gonna be your best bet, but they can get a little pricey.
Right. There was a chair that I saw. I think it was around $250. Has a nice capacity up to 400 pounds. It's like, oh damn, maybe I can gain some weight now. Then, juice. And problem is, a lot of these chairs that claim that they're heavy duty look really flimsy. And it's like, I understand I got to build this from a box, but are you sure that's going to stay upright in this direction? And a little shout out to my friend Brandon. He was telling me about how he was at somebody's house delivering a package, and he had him try a chair, and it was just nice, sweet ass chair that had a huge weight capacity to it, and he was able to sit back completely horizontally and still not fall over, and it sounded amazing. And then he was like, he tells me the story. He's like, how much is it? $1,200. Fuck that.
Yep,
holy shit,
that's about right.
That is spooky. No thank you, NTY. Beyond that, celebrated New Year's. Did what I do best New Year's, drink.
Oh, right, New Year's happened. Right.
Yeah, New Year's happened. Last week it was Christmas we got to talk about. Now it's the New Year. Happy New Year's. It's 2019.
Happy New Year to everybody listening. It is 2019. That means we've got a year ahead of amazing things, I hope, that are going to happen with Casual Master Quest and in your lives.
Yeah, I'm going to say for everybody. Everybody's a new year to fuck up. I mean, go forward and try something new.
Excelsior.
I mean, should we drop that name? I mean, not even a month ago, poor Stan Lee, he kicked the bucket.
No, it's a phrase to live by. Onwards and upwards.
And also a phrase to die by, as we learned. Whoops.
Too soon.
Oh, too soon. Beyond that, I feel the lawyers at Marvel just slowly creeping in. Like shadows in the window, kind of like that scene of the movie. I'm trying to remember what it's called. With Patrick Swayze, I think it's called Just Ghost. There's a scene in there
from like the 90s.
Yes,
with
where when people died and they're going to hell, like they had these weird shades come in from the darkness and going. Except in this case, it's Marvel lawyers just doing that through the window, saying Excelsior.
I wonder who would win in a speed competition between taking down copyrighted material, Marvel or Nintendo.
Ooh. I'm gonna say that it's you say Disney and Nintendo?
Technically, yeah. Technically Disney. Let's
you
say
can
Disney
say Marvel if you want. I would probably say Marvel because Nintendo likes to play with its prey. Give it a few days and let them post what they want on Twitter. That way they can really milk it. Disney and Marvel by extension, they like to crack down real quick.
Right. Yeah. Because it just so happens that a lot of the times they'll change copyright laws just to suit their own needs and make sure that they're not breaking copyright by doing whatever they were going to do. And so they'll just conveniently use all the capital in the world at their disposal to change a few laws here and there, so they don't have to worry about anything. But, I'd like to hear that from me.
Friend of the show, Brandon, is asking, doesn't Nintendo allow you to post things now? And the answer is yes. On YouTube, as long as it shows off as creative content with actual input from somebody, Nintendo will let it up now because they ended the Nintendo's Creator Program. However, I think where Nick is going with specifically is our super best console of 2018, Soulja Boy console. Or Soulja
stuff like
console,
that, like with knockoff consoles, knockoff games. Digimon, for example, being a knockoff of Puck.
Just that is true. You're gonna upset one of my best friends out there, but whenever Nintendo realizes that they're not going to get like legit money out of it and there's no good press, they'll shut it down immediately.
Or if they can't hire somebody from it.
That is also true. Yeah. I'm assuming you're referencing the Chris White and Sega situation with Sonic.
Yes, that's exactly what I was referring to.
Okay, because I don't have any other examples, so hopefully that's what the one you're referencing.
Yep.
But speaking of Disney, I would like to think that I am finally caught up. I am there, Nick. This upcoming in January 25th, 2019 is the release date of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Isn't it 29th?
I thought it was the 29th, but right now, every time you Google Kingdom Hearts 3 release date, it's the 25th. I thought it was the 29th as well, because that's the same day my sister is going to have her kid.
Did they change it up in response?
If you're asking if they're going to bump it up to release it a little earlier, the answer is yes, but probably not the way they wanted it, because that was 2018.
No, yeah.
But the 25th, the 29th, I have no fucking idea. It's coming out in a few weeks, though.
It's gonna come out by the end of the year, by the end of the month.
I would say the end of the year. That is also equally possible, depending on whether or not shit happens. In regards to that, there are over, I would say, 7-8 different games that you would have to listen to and play properly in order to understand the story.
Yep.
And that is a shit ton to understand for somebody who just wanted to play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and then go straight to Kingdom Hearts 3. Can you do it? Of course. But you're going to ask yourself, why the fuck does Axel have a Keyblade? Why the hell does Kairi have a Keyblade too? It's like, actually, that's not Axel. Who the fuck is it? I played, that's Axel from Kingdom Hearts 2. That is not anybody else. Yeah, it's actually a good form of Axel. His name's Lee. That doesn't make sense. He died. And it's like, yes, but in this game, he got resurrected. And, over here, this is the main villain now. And it's like, but we killed him. But he came back because fucking bullshit Kojima level, Disney magic brought him back. Popular demand brought him back. Well, what about this game about, 10 years? Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to go into a wild jump skit about this.
But you're caught up with Kingdom Hearts.
There's a lot to know about Kingdom Hearts, and thanks to Got It Memorized podcast, again, I'm going to give them one last shout out. They have been helping me understand and getting it memorized and understand what the hell is going on with the Kingdom Hearts lore. I'd like to say I'm somewhere around 90, maybe 95% understanding of Kingdom Hearts storyline and knowledge. And it's a lot. I'm kind of afraid for people who want to play Kingdom Hearts 3 and go, why the hell is this happening? And that scares me because I feel like that might cause a lot of detriment to the understanding of the game. But if they're cool like me, then they could totally be understanding. But it took also like an extra 20, 30 hours of podcast listening to, get a good grasp on what the hell is going on. And I have a small hunch that like in Kingdom Hearts 2, because in Kingdom Hearts 2, they showed like a recapped version of what happened in Kingdom Hearts 1 in the very beginning. I'm pretty sure Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to do something similar. And it's
hasn't it been like 12 years?
Yeah, it's been about actually 13 now since 2019. Yeah. Shout out.
So I would imagine any smart person in charge of directing any kind
we're talking about Square Enix, the person that let go Hitman and IO Interactive and also made The Quiet Man and also had postponed the Final Fantasy VII for a lot of other mistakes. But go on. Yes, sir. What were you saying?
Any smart person in charge of any sort of media that has a sequel with a big gap as between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 would know to like maybe we should catch up the fans a little bit just to give them an idea of what's going on, where they're picking up from. And so I'm just going to go with that hope. Or
they pull a Kojima level Metal Gear Solid 2 announcement and it turns out Sora's in fact dead. And they just make a whole new list of characters to play in Kingdom Hearts 3 and they don't have to explain shit.
Maybe. We won't know. Unless you've already looked at the spoilers.
All the trailers suggest that otherwise he may still in fact be alive.
Oh, is Sora the main one then? I'm assuming.
I mean, presumably. Yeah. In the very last game that came out for Kingdom Hearts, the franchise, it's called Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance for the 3DS. That is the last main core title.
That's a long convoluted title.
It's 3Ds because 3DS, right? It's Kingdom Hearts 3D. Yeah. Oh man, look at them. Nomura is really thinking right now, spinning in his seat. Got his hat backwards, sitting in the chair backwards. We don't even know what the hell he's doing. What's forward at this point? What's up? What's down? It's a dream drop.
So you're gonna play it at launch, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Whenever it finally does launch.
This is one of those games. I would say if I'm gonna name out 3 games that I without even thinking about it, I'm gonna insta buy. The first one is a new Zelda game, as one would expect out of me. The second one would probably be Final Fantasy VII, the remake, which is showing my deep dark weeaboo side. And in this case now, Kingdom Hearts 3. If there is a console-based Kingdom Hearts game that came out that is new, that isn't a fucking remake, that isn't a 8-word-long subtitle to a game, which knowing them, they'll probably make a version of that for Kingdom Hearts 3 by week 2. I'm gonna get it in a heartbeat.
It's Kingdom Hearts 3.2 HD remix or remake or whatever you want.
Rebirth edition, deluxe.
Yep.
With caramel on the side. But yeah. I am totally going to buy it. So that is my big game to play in the next, 3 weeks. But, we got some games that we can play in the meantime. What about you, Nick? You went wild. You went to the wild.
A little bit. We'll start off with school. School started on the 3rd.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm excited. I'm in a bunch of interesting cars. I'm in a bunch of interesting courses. One of which I think is very much relevant to the to the show. So there's a course that I enrolled for called Foundations of Game Design. Now, the previous semester was being offered as a video game development course in terms of programming. And so they expected us to use software such as processing and Java and Unity to actually build video games throughout the semester.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
The course content was changed dramatically by the one instructor. How the course was designed was to teach you the foundations of game design, in the sense right here are the reward challenge theories. Here's how you make something fun, how you make something interactive. So it was designed around board games and like actual physical games that you play with people. And we learn how to, we study these different games and we learn how to make them fun or what makes them fun. And by the end of the semester, we make our own like video game.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, just, board games essentially is a basic concept of something a little bit deeper like a video game, but It's still there. I mean, that's game theory 101.
Yep. Yep. So I'm excited. I wasn't excited if it was going to be programming based because I have no interest in video game development in that aspect. It's just like practically, it's well beyond my interest. I don't enjoy it. I've done something similar. Yeah.
Hypothetically, wanted to be a part of a video game development team, then what would you be the position you're aiming for then?
Like project manager, PR, or
so you want
high level stuff, like
you want to tell people what to do.
Core foundation stuff. Like what I'll be doing now is like we run through all the different scenarios, sketch up stuff, workshop things, play test them and figure out like what it needs, what's missing. In terms of the project management side, I just enjoy working with people and communicating with people, and so getting different departments to work together is something I enjoy. I
feel like you're the kind of person to go up to every developer and say, "Hey, what's your favorite kind of donut?" And then fucking Friday, you'd come along with a nice donut that everybody, oh, you bought me a Boston cream. And it's like it's because you've been doing a great work with artistic design. And you okay there?
Stop leaking my secrets, Tyler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dark, deep secrets. My bad. The deepest dive of secrets. Ooh, hot takes.
But yeah, so that's what's happening with one of my courses. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a group project at the end where we have to make our own game. I think I would like to make a trading card game of sorts. So something
those are popular nowadays.
A little bit.
All the companies are doing it right now.
So think something akin to like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, even Hearthstone, but very much like a lot more simplified. There's not all these different, like everybody has access to the same things. But
like Uno.
Basically like Uno meets Hearthstone. Something like that. But with anywhere from 2 to 4 players.
What it would be like if you could make a Uno deck, but you have to have all the cards, 0 through 8 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In different colors. But you'll have like special edition cards that you can flip over and they have like a special effect on it or something like that. You can have like up to 10.
There would have to be something that sets each player apart a little bit, maybe gives them an edge, or but I wanted to be on an even playing field where you really have to rely on your own strategy. And rely less on RNG, because RNG.
Can I just buy my way to victory?
No, not in my household. No.
Oh, not in my household. Watch out, Papa Nick over here.
It purely depends on the amount of money that's being offered.
Oh, okay. So you're willing to sell out?
I'm willing to sell out, but for good reasons. I could put it all towards my tuition fee, and then put a little bit more finances into gaming.
It's funny you should say that because I forgot his name specifically, but the person in charge of Nier Automata, people were asking and curious, like, oh man, TB is awesome. I kind of wish they put her into this game. And she got put into a game. I don't remember which one, a fighting game of some sort. But somebody, I think it's like Jirtaro, or whatever the fuck his name is. The one that has like this weird round head mask thing that has a creepy smile. Somebody asked him, it's like, what do we have to do to convince you to let us use 2B in other games? And he's like, just give me money. I'll seriously sell it for anything. He legit said that. It's like, I will, if you got money, like give me $200, you can have her in your game. That's fine. We love money. And it's like,
I think $200 is a underselling amount, but I understand the point.
Just to say her name, just to say 2B, and somebody like, wow, I'm feeling great, like 2B today or something like that. And Mr. Moneymaker over here is like, yes, sell her out.
But yeah, no, that's cool. And then I took a trip to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, you crossed the border.
Despite living in the Pacific Northwest, but I went to the other side of the Pacific Northwest.
Pardon me. Sorry. Yes. Welcome to the States, kind sir. You traveled from Canada. Did you smuggle a Switch?
No, I did not take my Switch with me. I didn't take any sort of gaming device with me, expecting to not play any games, but I did end up playing video games. All right, so I think I've talked about my cousin before. And how we used to play certain games together, whenever I'd visit his house in India in the summers. So Max Payne, Total Overdose 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, I think that came out in 95 or 96. And then he moved to Seattle to do his master's in 2015, and he's got a job there now. And I haven't seen him in a long time. Went down to visit him, and he moved out of his previous accommodation to a new place where he's got 3 other roommates, and one of them has a PS4. And they only had Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Are you enjoying Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, it's good. And mind you, he used to play a lot of games when he was younger, but he's really fallen off from that. And I'm talking about like a good 12-year break of like being invested into video games.
Okay.
And so when I asked him, he's like, "Do you want to do anything?" Because I went over on Friday. I arrived on a Friday night, and I planned to return on Sunday, early Sunday morning, early afternoon. So we had the whole of Saturday. So Friday night, we really just ended up drinking beers, watching something on Netflix. And so he's like, Saturday came around. He's like, "What do you want to do?" Well, I really want to go to like a GameStop or something to see if they have any deals on Switch games because of conversion and stuff. It might be worth my time to actually spend some money here.
Ooh,
so when a GameStop
picking on his game here,
didn't really find anything worth my while, worth my money. I mean, not that. Sorry, no, I didn't find anything that was worth the conversion costs, where it would cost just about the same if I bought it here. So I held off on buying games. But my cousin and his roommate came along, and they were looking at there was one big section for all the PS4 games, and then I this is when I first told my cousin. This trip was when I first told him about the podcast about Casual Master Quest, and so he called me over. He's like, "All right, which of these games are good?" And this is the first time where the last few months have really like paid off in IRL in real life, where it's kind of like, all right, which of these games are good? And so I'm like, all right, listen, here's the breakdown. Witcher 3, and they were looking for like the pre-owned games, right? Because like it might as well save some money if you're not going to be spending that much time gaming.
Through the system, weekends.
Yeah. So I'm like, Witcher 3 is one of my. They wanted like a good mix of single player, multiplayer games. Like Witcher 3 is the one game that I'd always recommend anybody to ever play. If you're not into difficult games, because Witcher 3 can get very difficult really fast, especially because they don't do a good job of telling you what to do right at the start. I'm like, pick up. It has story mode where you can do story difficulty where the hack and slash is really simple, enemies really easy to beat, and you can just play for the story. Then he picked up Arkham Knight because he has played Arkham Asylum, and he didn't know
another one existed.
No, he didn't know that Arkham Knight was on the PS4, I think, because it came out in 2015. So I think it released on the PS3 as well.
Okay. I mean, PS4 came out, I believe, in 2012. So if it came out on the PS3, that's... the game came out originally in 2012.
Anyways, so he picked up Arkham Knight. They picked up the Insane trilogy from Crash Bandicoot because his roommate grew up playing Crash Bandicoot, and I'm like, that's a good buy. And they're like, all right, we need some multiplayer games, for when we're sitting at home. I'm like, all right, the one thing easiest multiplayer game to recommend on the PS4 is like sports games. So they picked up Madden 18, FIFA 18, and UFC 3. Also because GameStop had a buy 2 pre-owned games, get 1 free. And so we were just scouring the pre-owned sections. So that's why we ended up with a few of these. And the first thing we did was pop in UFC 3. I ended up playing a little bit this weekend, and it was fun. Graphics were... I know what to expect from an EA game. They really do a good job with their graphics, making them as realistic as possible, especially a lot of their physics. The graphics were good. Dana White is a fighter that's available. You can play as Dana White in UFC 3. You can play. I have no idea
who that is.
Dana White is I'm pretty sure he's the president or CEO of UFC. But he's the one who's always at all the fights and doing all the presenting the titles and belts and stuff.
Okay.
Then you can fight as Bruce Lee if you wanted, but you just have to play the story a little bit.
Okay. I feel like this might be taking an interesting turn. What's going on here? Am I going to be able to play as Tony Hawk too? What's going on?
No, you can play as Tony Hawk, but you could play as Kimbo Slice. So I think they put in a few legacy UFC fighters as well. You could play as CM Punk. CM Punk had a brief UFC MMA career as well.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a fun game. Really just working on combinations. It was a controller I'm not used to because the thumbsticks are right next to each other, whereas with an Xbox, one's a little bit further up on the left side and the right side's a little further down, which is what I'm used to a lot more. But beyond that, all we did was just sit around, drink, went out, got some food, napped, and then I came back. I survived.
I was saying, then I came like, this took an interesting turn. What's going on here? I feel like you must have skipped a beat. What's going on, Nick?
And then I came back home. Yeah. But yeah, that was my week.
How long is the drive from your house down there?
It really depends on the border, but fortunately, for whatever reason, the border was pretty much free this trip. So, barring my frequent stops because I kept drinking a lot of water, so I had to pee a lot. Anywhere from 2 hours and like 15 minutes to almost 3 hours, depending on how fast you're going and how bad traffic can get. Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's a good fair distance right there. I mean,
I think it's something like 190 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, 190 miles.
Yeah.
How fast are you going?
I'm usually averaging about 90.
90 kilometers, right?
90 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the speed limits are over there, but
I think it's 70.
Okay, so your trip. God damn, dude. Control yourself.
On my way down, it was dark, so I was sticking to the speed limit. On my way back home, it wasn't raining. It was during the daytime. It wasn't as busy, so
You do what you have to. You felt the need for speed.
It's only 90 miles. It's really not that fast. I grew up in a country where people were doing 110 on 80 roads, on 70 roads.
Okay, but in the States, that's called reckless endangerment. That's license.
No, I understand. I'm not saying I'm gonna go marginally over the speed limit, but I tend
you just said you went over 90 or 20 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Understood, but it's not like I was.
Here's my trap card.
It's not like
you know who I am.
I tend to drive based on how others are driving around me as well, and there were quite a few people going at about my speed too. So it's not like I was the only one overtaking everybody.
I'm totally imagining you getting pulled over because somehow a cop managed to catch you. I don't know how he went my speed at this point. And he has his state trooper hat, comes up to you, and the first thing you say is, "Do you know who I am?" And you just rip your overshirt, and it shows like Casual Master Quest, like, "I'm the goddamn co-host for the Casual Master Quest," and he'll be like, "Have a good day, sir." And he just
that's an instant booking. That's arrested on the spot right there.
I mean, okay, fair enough. I don't want to go in the direction I want to because, goddamn, that could go south real quick.
Well, it's Washington, so it's a little bit safe for me. So
okay, fair enough. I wouldn't know. I think I went to Washington once in my life, Washington State. So good time. I think I swam in a river for some reason.
Nice, yeah. That's what you do when you come out of the Pacific Northwest. You swim in the rivers, hunt in the mountains, do stuff. You just go out there, try and meet Sasquatch.
Yeah, natural stuff. This sounds like fucking hippie talk. What's going on here?
It's essentially that's what it is. That's what we are. Except we're vegan too, so it's kind of like we're kind of fucked either way.
I'm still upset that I'm in the older range of millennials right now just because of this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Millennials killed mayonnaise. I just made that up. Exactly.
It just tastes weird.
Everyone's Miracle Whip. But mayonnaise is dead. So what have you been playing?
So as I just mentioned, some UFC 3. I really haven't been playing much purely because school started and then I took this little trip. So I've been gone from my computer for a good at least 2-3 days, so it's just been kind of it's been good to get away. I did play some Overwatch with some friends. I played some Destiny, but this week on Destiny was special. We attempted to clear all the raids in Destiny 2 in one go.
All the raids?
All of the raids. So that's Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars, The Last Wish, and Scourge of the Past, all in one sitting with some buds. We only got through the first 3 that came out with the base game with Year 1 D2 prior to Forsaken. And then Forsaken launched The Last Wish, and we got about a third of the way through it just because we'd already hit the 8-hour mark. Because a lot of these raids, the first 3, we were raiding with people who at least half of us had never done any of them, and I haven't done 2 of them. And so there's a lot of learning to go around and just a lot of team building exercises, getting some of the frustration out from constantly wiping and not learning some of the mechanics. But it was a lot of fun.
I bet it was. For me, doing that, going with friends in World of Warcraft and just burning through all the old raids just because you can, and just find weird, cool shit. Yeah, I could totally understand how that would be fun and entertaining. You said it took about 8-9 hours to do all that? Yeah,
because again, there's just a lot of learning. The first raid, Leviathan, I'd done it a few times, so I just needed more refreshers because it's been a while. And so we were able to get through that fairly quick because the other 3 people had never done them. So just teaching them what the mechanics for each encounter was and getting through it took a little bit of time, but not too bad. It was Spire of Stars, the third raid that released with Destiny 2 Year 1. Eater of Worlds we cleared pretty quick. I think we cleared that in an hour.
Nice.
Spire of Stars is one of the more mechanically... it's not... difficult is the right word. It's just a lot. It's one of the more mechanically convoluted raid encounters I've ever done, because I've done all the Destiny 1 raids too, so I have a good history of comparison for each and every raid encounter. And the last raid encounter in Spire of Stars, which is technically is a raid lair, because it's as Bungie described it, a raid lair is a little bit more it's a lot shorter and just a lot more challenging, but it's not full length raid, so it only had about 3 encounters. Whereas a regular raid will have 4 or 5 encounters with a few other sections in between. So Spire of Stars actually took almost just as long as clearing the first raid, Leviathan, and then we got through the Last Wish. We didn't get through it. It took us a while to get about a third of the way through it, because we were tired at that point. We're about 6-ish hours in. We're all getting on each other's nerves. We're all hungry. We're not seasoned raiders. We're not seasoned raid teams, because when Last Wish first launched, the first raid completion took 24 hours.
Yes, it did.
18 hours.
It was up there for sure.
Yeah, and these people were able to go at it and not kill each other, right? Still, and they were still friends after, because after like your 100th wipe,
that for sure though.
Yes, after your 100th wipe, it's it's kind of like who fucked up, and it's like, well, fuck you then, and yes, I know that for sure, because they're currently doing speedruns of the most recent raid, Scourge of the Past, which wasn't as long or as hard as previous raids, but still fun. I still haven't gotten to play it. I've seen plenty of gameplay, but they're doing speedruns of it, and to finish it for the first time, world's first, it was 1 hour and 45 minutes. Speedrun times right now are about 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay. God damn. That's pretty short.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay. So, you talked about UFC 3. What other games have you been playing?
Beyond that,
what you've been playing, Nick?
I talked about Wizard of Legend a couple of weeks ago, where I picked it up. And I just went back to it. I go back to it every now and then, just plug my controller, and it's like a fun, chill game before I sleep.
What game are we talking about?
Wizard of Legend.
Oh, I too actually got Wizard of Legend.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do you think about it?
That is not a game I should be playing in a semi truck.
No.
Like bouncing around and trying to calculate and know exactly when to push the button. No, I get fucked up real quick. Yep. That is a game where, especially single player, is something I should be tryharding pretty good.
Yep.
And
I mean, it does have that affordance for you to want to, really try hard, think about, strategize. But I like that. Once you get up there with the amount of spells that you can unlock, and everything's just exploding and everything looks crazy, it's just a fun wind down game for me sometimes.
Yes, it is. And I'm a little iffy on the controller schematic for the Switch. Just everything's spaced apart. I was playing in handheld, given, so maybe if I throw this on the TV where I can see everything a little bit better, I'm not acting like I'm in a real life bounce around in my chair and stuff.
And with like a proper controller, yeah.
Because bless you, Michigan potholes, but you are a son of a bitch for some of these games. But I think it's a good challenging game. I'm kind of excited because there is a offline co-op so if my wife wanted to play, we could totally play together. So I'm hoping to give that a shot with her. But yeah, Wizard of Legend's pretty good. It's on sale right now on the Switch, just for those who are
curious. Actually? Yeah. Okay,
I think it's $13.99 right now on the Switch.
I think it's worth it for just like a fun crapshoot kind of game where you just kind of like either you're bored or it does have some worthy grindy bits to it.
It feels like a 8-bit over-animated version of Diablo 3. Not so much the loot, just so much there's just mobs of enemies and this pre-generated world that you get to go through and murder and blow up, and it's really satisfying. I like things blown up, as it turns out.
Me too.
Cool.
So does Michael Bay. So does Quentin Tarantino. But anyways,
you dragged their holy names into our dirty sanctum, the Lords of Explosions. Yeah. And now we need Explosion Girl from that one anime.
I downloaded a game.
Oh.
But I haven't played it yet.
Oh no.
I mean, technically I've played it before, but I just haven't played it since I recently re-downloaded. It's a little game known as Sea of Thieves, if you've never heard of it.
Yes, our 2018 Best Drunk Game of the Year.
Yes, Sea of Thieves. I'm very much excited to see what's in store for me for my pirate legacy. Now, here's something I did want to bring up in regards to Sea of Thieves. Have you heard of Summit 1G, my good sir?
Yes, I've heard of the gentleman who posted an interesting thing on Twitter yesterday, known as Summit 1G, who is an avid player of Sea of Thieves amongst many other games, mostly shooters, but you know.
Yeah, so he recently picked up Sea of Thieves, and there have been a lot of people complaining about the way he plays the game. There have been a lot of people complaining about him being a pirate in a game of pirates. Does that make sense to you?
You know, if there was a game where I could do anything I wanted to, and there's guidelines to progress in the game, and there's also guidelines on how to hinder other people in the game, I suppose, you know, almost Red Dead 2 Redemption style, I would have to pick one or the other because it just seems like too much fun. But if you're, you know, one of the most popular players on Twitch and you decide to choose, I'm going to hinder everybody else rather than progress myself, I can see potentially where it would come off as negative. However, as you are suggesting, it's a fucking part of the game.
It's a part of the game. Now,
a fun part of the game too.
If he was trying to like, if he was hacking and, you know, obtaining people's IPs and connecting to their servers and, maliciously server hopping to specifically target certain people, that's a problem. But all I see is a man going into servers, into so-called PvE servers, because certain people have decided to make the game PvE and remove a part of the game. He's decided to infiltrate these worlds where people just farm all the PvE stuff and not kill each other, and he's decided to be a pirate. I'm
curious on how that works because I didn't know there was a way to select a specific server because typically
you can't. These are just groups on across the internet that I think try to match it. I don't know how they do it. I don't think they're forcefully rigging the matchmaking system. I think it's really just server hopping smartly to make sure that a bunch of these people end up in the same server, and so that they can just play the PvE.
That is a fair thing to do, and I guess if that could be exploited in such a way that they could try to be pacifists, it would be just as easy for Summit to find a way to exploit that to get in there as well to change the game. Yeah,
not even exploit. He's playing the game.
He's trying to moderate the actual gameplay, and people are upset because they wanted to like soft mod it to a more peaceful setting. And go ahead.
Okay, what do you think about it?
Personally,
removing the person from it. What do you think about the situation in general?
So, fun fact: I played Sea of Thieves this weekend as well. Oh, whoops! And I played with Brandon. Yeah, can you guess the first thing that we wanted to do?
Fuck people.
That was after the game, but we wanted to find the nearest ship and then just light them up, Georgie. Light them up. So, understandably, and to some extent, a lot of people like the PvP aspect of the game. And some people like to focus entirely on it because the rewards for doing the more normal stuff of the game gives you nothing but aesthetics. And so once you get your deck out, by level 12 in each of the 3 factions, there's no benefits to raising them unless you want to be a pirate legend. Even then, it just takes a certain level of neurotic dedication to get that. It's not fun. So the other option is once you get the stuff you want to, wear and whatnot, you deck out your ship and whatnot, the next best thing is fuck people up. And so I totally understand why Summit, who's probably put a lot more time than any of us combined, wants to fuck people up at this point because he has nothing better to do. It's like, I don't even know if he's Pirate Legend. Honestly, I couldn't blame him if he didn't want to be Pirate Legend. It's not fun. I mean, unless you're one of the rare staff and you're like, this is fun, right, guys? But yeah, it's okay, the PvP. If he wants to do that entirely, that's great. I mean, if he wants to showcase it on the Twitter, that sounds kind of douchebaggy, but that's his prerogative. It's like saying, hey, when it comes to me playing Destiny 2, I play nothing but Crucible because I just want to fuck people up because I know they don't have a chance. It's like, okay, weird flex, but okay, sure. That's a respectable brag, I guess. I don't know why you're talking about it on Twitter. Just have fun with it. But he's also an influencer, so I guess that would also make sense. Is he a defender at this point? Do you think Rare would back him up on this kind of thing?
Who, Summit?
Yeah. Do you think if Rare were to take a stance saying, hey, no, you should try to do a more balanced thing, or do you think, fuck yeah, Summit, you light him up?
No, I think he's playing the game as it should be played. There are different, as you outlined it, there are different things that you can do, and one of them is to be a pirate, and I think he's being a pirate. And he's not spawn camping people, he's not spawn trapping people, he's just being a pirate.
He's probably good at it. Let's be real.
Oh no, yeah, he's probably good at And so like, I don't know. Like I think people are trying to make the most out of a game PvE wise that doesn't have anything. Do you know what I mean? In comparison to other games, and then that's why. And people are getting pissy about it. Well, if you wanted something to grind and really, you should find another game, not this, because there is these aspects to it, and the challenge of you raiding a skull fort and then getting away with all this loot while fighting off these other pirates is monumental. So, like the thrill of that is something else.
PvE finds its way to you sometimes. For example, do you remember when I just said maybe a few minutes ago how the first thing Brandon and I wanted to do is get in our ship and just blow somebody up?
Yeah.
We get 50 feet away from the dock and the water goes fucking dark and the Kraken attacks us. And I'm trying to I'm telling Brandon, he's like, all right, so what do we do? How are we going to figure this? Like, Brandon, we're just going to take it as we go. We'll learn it ourselves. All right. And so still within loading distance of the fucking island, we get attacked by the goddamn Kraken. It's like I heard the music. I was like, no, they wouldn't.
At that point, these PvEers will probably just blame the game. Because it's like, well, we're just trying to do this thing that we're not supposed to do and create all these servers just for PvE farming, and now the game decides to screw us over by sending a Kraken. No.
So a Kraken versus a brand new player and somebody else. And also, fun fact, he disconnected about 5 minutes into this fight. We had nothing to win. I wanted to swim back to shore and just say fuck it at this point. Because we saw a bunch of ships we wanted to mess with, and the other ships are just circling us like sharks. Like, we got something good. I'm like, I got bad news for you, son. The only thing we have is good looks and cannonballs. We're about to run out of one of those. By the way, I'm still good looking. And so we started over again. I was like, okay, back when I used to play, back in my day when Sea of Thieves first came out, I used to see the Kraken about once every 5 hours. And that's usually, it feels like a karma event. Like you're being bad. But this time it was like pure RNG. Bad luck on our side. We see it again within an hour. And I'm thinking what the hell is going on? It's like, what were the chances? Because at this point, Brandon knew what was going on. He's like, abandoned ship. And I'm like, fuck, why? And then he's like, oh yeah, the Kraken. Okay. Hello, Kraken. By the way, Kraken, we still don't have anything. I think we ate all the bananas too. No, you still want to destroy a little sloop? Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine. And then we hunted a ship down. We sunk their ship as they sunk ours. So that was fun. And then we chased a giant cloud that I've never seen before that was in the shape of a pirate ship. And apparently what this will do is it'll take you to an area where there is a computer-operated ship full of skeletons that will attack.
Ghost ships.
Essentially, yes. And it was pretty awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's from the Cursed Sails expansion. But anyway, sorry. Continue.
I think the drawback to that, though, was Brandon we both were pretty inebriated, both in real life and him in game. And so I think the first thing he did was fire himself onto the ship, leaving me to get rammed and deal with the hull damage. And so most of the time, our ship was just spinning in a circle as I'm trying to do repairs. He's like, oh, I got him. Oh, I died. And I'm like, well, we gotta sink the ship. And he's like, oh, got it. And I'm like, you can't sink the ship over there. What are you doing? The skeletons kept spawning infinitely. So it's like we eventually got into a strategy where I was navigating and he was on cannon duty, despite being completely plastered at this point, which was very comedic. But we had a good time. We only got to play a couple hours.
Which is one of the amazing things about the game. Unlike No Man's Sky and launch, they didn't promise anything that wasn't going to be there. They told us very clearly what was going to be there, and really it was more of a Minecraft kind of thing where it's like, all right, here's this canvas, here's this book, here's some pens, make your own stories, form your own adventures, go into the role playing as much as you want, which is rare for a game nowadays. I think for a game to forge experiences.
Oh yeah, like we discussed before with Dead Space 3, we'll bring it up one last time. If there's a game that's not supremely awesome in its own right, but not god-awful terrible, with the right amount of lubrication and a couple of people willing to get creative and have fun, it can be an amazing experience. And that's what CFDs offers. It gives you a chance to we don't know what the fuck you want to do. Just go do your pirate thing. Here's some cannonballs. Don't do anything too crazy. And by God, we did it. It was fun. And so I'm looking forward to a chance where more people can play with us.
Yeah. The last thing I'm going to mention about games played, or at least I haven't played this, or at least not recently, but I'm planning a Stardew Valley farm with a bunch of friends. So
nice. On PC, I presume?
On PC. So we're going to see how that plays out. And I'm good on games otherwise, Tyler.
That was fun. Shout out to my wife who she started playing Stardew Valley once again, watching a streamer play it as well, and she's been playing with her best friend Dustin. So if you want to play with my wife, I guess, and Stardew Valley, nothing else, strictly platonic, sir. Sir, you dirty man.
You can see where my hands are.
Yeah, but where's your third hand? I know where you
We have a fun few topics here for you guys today. It would have been
funny if right there you put your hands in the air, but I realized one of them's a cardboard cutout or something.
Like a fake hand, it just falls off.
Over on my end, I got a couple of games that I did beat over the course of the week, and I just want to give a shout out to. The first one is Bayonetta 2. It came out for the Wii U, and then it came out in a release for the Switch. And man, as Nick, I'm sure you can guess this with the first one, I still have no fucking idea what the hell happened. And it is a game. It was fun. It had its moments. When it comes to story, Sega and Platinum just pull all sorts of wild shit out their ass. And they're like,
let's be honest, Tyler. The game's really not about the story.
That is fair. I mean, it came out on a Nintendo platform, which, for younger teenagers and children.
Because they understand who their core audience is when it comes to the Switch.
Oh boy. So are you saying this is some kind of game that's fan servicey to 13, 14-year-old?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I see. So Bayonetta 2 was a good game. It was fun. I got to play it on a fairly easier setting, so I could just burn through it. But I think it made it a lot more enjoyable because it was a lot harder to lose. I still could, but it was a lot harder to lose, and it just made me being able to access the story a little bit faster. The story in quotations.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure you can guess, giant ass boss fights. There was sequences almost identical to Bayonetta. Like in the Bayonetta, you surf on a goddamn rocket towards the city.
Yeah.
Something similar, except you're on a jet fighter for some reason. And there was also one beautiful sequence. Do you remember in Bayonetta 1 where you punched the final boss so hard that you got to hurl it towards the sun?
Yeah.
We had something similar to that too.
Okay.
So, you punched the final boss, and Jean, I believe her name was, has a giant demon dragon mouth open, and you're trying to aim it towards the guy's, the dragon's mouth, and he's like, oh, it's just the way he's flapping. It looks like a T-pose gone wrong with all sorts of physics. It's just him flapping around trying to get away from him. It's very comedic. Bayonetta 2, okay game. Maybe not $60, but
I was gonna say probably not worth the full price, but
I would say for a $20, $30 with Bayonetta 1 package in or something like that, it'd be a worthwhile experience. It was fun. If you want to understand what the fuck Bayonetta or Syriza is, keep looking. Just go through the Wikipedia because they still don't know. It got weird real fast, and they kept spooning in or shoehorning in characters like, hey, he's still here, he's alive, that's good. Anyways,
I guess we'll find out in Bayonetta 3.
That is true. I don't even know what the fuck you do in Bayonetta 3 at this point. I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure they do. I mean, it's like
we'll find out when it comes out.
They keep sending Kojima sake or something like that, and like, hey, email us random ideas you don't want to use in your game. We'll try to see what we can do with it. So I beat that. Took about 10 or so hours. I'm not even sure if it was that long, but it's a good fair amount of time. Another game that I got to beat this week was Blossom Tales. Now, Blossom Tales, I got as part of a review copy. So I reviewed it a while ago very highly, but I didn't get a chance to beat it just because of time constraints and all that stuff.
Right.
Now, for those who don't know, Blossom Tales is a indie game that didn't get to really see. It was a Steam to Switch kind of game, so a lot of people could have potentially played it already on the Switch, or sorry, on the Steam, but on the Switch, it came out last year, and it was fantastic. Blossom Tales is by FDG Entertainment, which isn't a very highly known company, but it is a clone of Link to the Past. Now, when people are like, a clone to Link to the Past, surely that can't be a good game because Link to the Past is the highest of its names. Look, Link to the Past is my favorite fucking game of all time. This is a good game. Like, if any credibility as a Zelda enthusiast that could say a clone that is good, it means you probably should look at it because goddamn, Blossom Tales is a fucking good game.
So the publisher is FTG Entertainment. Developers are Castle Pixel LLC.
Thank you. I apologize for that. That was that
No,
was
it's
a rude
not.
one on
It's
my
not.
part.
It's not very well known, even from a lot of the official artwork. It just says FDG Entertainment, and Castle Pixel is not really mentioned.
The only reason why I thought so and I got it mixed up is because FDG loves to fucking like anything that I say involving Blossom Tales. I guess the biggest shout out I'd like to give is Rob Maher, who is pretty much the head honcho in charge of Blossom Tales. I believe he's the guy that spun it into place, if not had a very, very heavy hand into it. And I messaged him, thanking him on Twitter. So Blossom Tales, it focuses on a girl named Lily. It's basically a tale that's supposed to be a childhood tale, like grandpa's sitting near the fireplace, a couple of kids are at the carpet, and he's like, oh, I'm going to tell you about a game about a kid dressed in green who's going to save the princess. And they're like, Grandpa, you can't tell that one for legal purposes. Like, oh, you got me. Okay, I'll put this Zelda story away and tell you about the Sleeping King. And there are 4 main dungeons, 3 basic ones, and then like a Ganis Tower 4th one, which was damn good. It was hard, but so fucking good. There was a spot where I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to rage quit again, man. I got nervous because there was the reason why I quit last time is because I was on the 3rd boss, which was it was a monk that could summon zombies in the hordes and just shoot ice everywhere. Sure. It was bullet hell.
All right.
What's going on?
A monk. It's just an interesting combination of character tropes.
It's weird because
tropes.
it says it's a monk, but it looks like a gargoyle. So it's like, sure.
Okay.
And the final, like, Ganis Tower is based in a swampland that had orcs. So it's like, okay, kind of checks out. It's headed by the evil wizard Crocus or Crocius. I forgot what the name of the flower is. And it's like, okay, so magic. Well, no, his fucking his fortress is just lined with electricity like a son of a bitch. And it's like, okay, that just, sure. It's weird. It has this weird style to it. And when I finally was able to beat it, it kind of ended almost very quickly as soon as you beat the final boss, but I was like, I'm fine with this. I spent a good time on it. A good, strong first game in the line of Blossom Tales. I'm really hoping that they make a second one sometime soon. A huge shout out for them. They do have another game going on right now. I don't remember what specifically the other game is. Let's see. No, I couldn't tell you. But oh, sorry, Rex Rocket. Rex Rocket is another game that was made by the company, which is I believe, I don't think it's on Switch right now, but it's an interesting game. It's on Switch right now for $5. Sorry, on Steam right now for $5. And it's supposed to be kind of like a clone of Mega Man, if that helps with anything.
Okay.
In fact, it's a very high quality clone of Mega Man, I would like to think. But that's just a personal opinion. In terms of other games, I picked up Wizard of Legend. We talked about that. And lastly, I started playing as my main game whenever I'm playing Passenger now is Battle Chef Brigade. I picked it up again. I think this is technically the 3rd time I've owned a copy, which was, first time I got it for free. Second time I got it for free, but they're both on PC. So I decided to finally pay the money and get it on the Switch. And that is still a wonderful game.
What's made you put it down so many times and then pick it up again?
The reason why I put it down originally was either it wasn't holding my interest strongly, or like a special event happened where it was like, hey, you're not going to play as the main character anymore. You're going to play as someone that you might not like as much. And you're going to play a little bit differently kind of thing. And there was also times where I was trying to, hold on to it, but it's like, oh man, just playing on this controller feels weird. It's, when I played it on the Switch, I realized that this was the best way to play not Blossom Tales. No, Blossom Tales 2, but Battle Chef Brigade. And I played a lot of games started with a B today, or this week. What the fuck's going on here? And so playing it on the Switch, I've been able to put a lot more time in it than I thought I would. And now that I'll be able to sit down and relax and play this game in a way that I feel like is probably the most natural version, I'm really appreciating it. It's a really good game. Being able to murder monsters and then turn it into a puzzle turning cooking game is probably the best I could ever ask for. Because I was hoping to play a Puyo Puyo game, which this kind of could go in the right direction if you let it. And so I tried playing Puyo Puyo Tetris, the campaign. Problem is, the campaign, the first 7-8 things, they make you play the Tetris portion. I suck at Tetris. I don't like Tetris. So I stopped playing. And so I'm playing Battle Chef Brigade, and I'll keep you updated.
So I'm a little bit distracted here, only because I didn't know about this. You mentioned you got Wizard of Legend on deal. So for those who don't know, there is a New Year sale on the Nintendo's store online.
Yes.
I didn't know, so I'm telling myself this is more for me than anything else. So it's about 30% off, max up to certain games up to the 10th of January. So make sure you guys get on that if you see any games of interest. I can tell you right now, Octopath Traveler is on sale.
Nice. What's it looking like right now?
From $59.99 to $41.99.
That is
not a big cut, but it's a good enough cut.
I mean, that's $18. That means that's a nice lobster dinner right there alongside Octopath. Courtesy of Nintendo, Nick.
So at the top of the list, in terms of like the more expensive ones, we have ARMS, Splatoon 2, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Octopath Warriors Orochi 4, Civilization 6, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on sale.
Which it breaks my heart to say that I have most of those, so I couldn't really bring myself to.
But yeah, if you were just pull out your Switch, go into the store, you'd be able to see a lot more of what is available for on sale. And
quite frankly, I think it would be worth giving a look at just because of. I mean, it's pretty much like all the top featured games that came out on the Switch last year and the year before. So it's like, what could go wrong? Honestly, you can't really mess up. Those are good games. So, Nick, I know you're trying to eyeball a good deal over there.
Sorry, I'm putting it away. I'm putting it away. It's gone. All right.
So, modular segment. What's going on here?
So our modular segment, this was actually proposed by you, where we have another versus, but in very specific situations and two different characters.
Okay, so before we continue, I just want to state some rules, or try to get some agreement on rules.
Yes.
The rule is, they're in a trapped setting of sorts, and we'll explain real quick. In order for them to leave and hence win, they have to personally defeat the other player, the other character.
What counts as a defeat here? Are we talking about death or incapacitation?
I would say incapacitation. I mean, they can go for death if they really want to, but it's not required because there, some characters that we may pick have moral grounds. Like maybe I don't want to murder them instantly. And some other people are like, I'll take your head off. Haha, I've done that before. Yeah. They are aware that they need to defeat each other in order to leave. They do not know what the other person is. So, surprise on first contact.
Okay.
Let's say they got a little picture saying, hey, kill this guy if you want to leave kind of thing. And so they know what the person looks like, but they don't know what they can do, what powers they may have, what kind of abilities. So, to that end, is there anything else you could possibly think of? I mean, it's fairly simple to the point.
No, I'm good with that.
Okay, then lay down the groundwork. Who do we have versing each other?
So today we have Isaac Clarke versus Spider-Man.
Oh shit!
Aboard the USG Ishimura, filled with necromorphs. So
it sounds like Isaac might actually have the upper edge. He may not like that fact, but
no, Isaac's in his home ground here. So just to fill people in, Isaac Clarke is of course the protagonist from Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. The USG Ishimura is a mining ship that was present in the first Dead Space that Isaac Clarke was part of the crew as an engineer on their expedition for planet cracking or whatever it was called.
The USG Ishimura is the basic bitch mining ship to that the entire game for the first Dead Space was based on, as Nick said, and it has a fairly basic groundwork of any spaceship you can imagine, and it's also filled to the brim still for some reason with necromorphs. You walk around the corner, there's a good chance one fucker might be sitting there just rub one off and turns to look at you, and he's like,
So here, this is interesting. My first question would be if we can get to agree on what version of Spider-Man are we talking about. And by that specifically, I mean, I think we already decided that we were going to go with Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but I'm talking about his suit. Are we going to go with just basic suit, or considering the fact that he's in space? Considering the fact that he's in space, an Iron Spider suit would make sense.
Okay, that does make sense given the situation. I mean, technically, I would like to say they magically teleported there, but we gotta make it fair logistically for Spider-Man because all Isaac would have to do is just to blow a hole in the hull and just suck Spider-Man out.
True.
But in this case, he couldn't. Now, what is the Iron Spider suit?
The Iron Spider suit basically gives him more defense. I don't think it buffs his physical capabilities too much, but it gives him mechanical spider arms that react to his thoughts, and a few upgraded web shooting capabilities.
Oh boy, that sounds like a lot right there. Whew. Okay, so
and also the ability to survive in a vacuum-like space.
Okay, fair enough. So the first main question is, before they even face each other, do both of these characters have the capacity to maintain survival against the necromorphs?
I believe so. Isaac Clarke, based on gameplay and also the fact that there have been sequels, Isaac Clarke survives. So I feel like Isaac Clarke is a no-brainer here. Spider-Man has been through the ringer. He's faced off against the Hulk. He's faced off against Thanos. He has his own slew of enemies. I think it would be an unsettling environment for him, but with his reflexes and his core abilities, I think he'd be just fine.
I feel like he would be able to handle the necromorphs like your basic ones that have the hook for hands, that like the stabby. He might get thrown off by like the acid spitting ones, but I think he would learn fairly quickly to web their mouths closed and whatnot. I mean, the only one I could possibly think of that would give him trouble would be Big Sexy, aka the tyrant that cannot die through normal means. We've learned that we can combine or confine those fuckers in many different forms, but they always find a way to come back somehow through the power of visceral games. So they both can survive the environment naturally. I'm going to be defending Isaac Clarke. I'm assuming you're going to be defending Spider-Man. So tell me, what would be your first plan of attack?
Honestly, just to web him up to a wall and then make his way out.
So are you trying to tell me that Spider-Man's just going to be walking down the corridor and then just webbing everything he sees?
Essentially, but maybe not walking so much as like acrobatically maneuvering his way through an onslaught of enemies and making his way towards Isaac Clarke.
Okay, so he's going to be bouncing around across the metal corridor making all sorts of fucking noise.
Yes.
Now, granted, Isaac Clarke is just as likely going to be shooting his plasma cutter and making equally the amount of noise. So I think it's safe to say that they'll have a very good idea of knowing where they're going to go.
Especially because the necromorphs will be singling in on two targets, either Spider-Man or Isaac, right? So if you want to find the other person, you just follow the other, line, follow the other traffic.
Okay. I would like to say that I'm picking Isaac Clarke specifically after hopefully surviving Dead Space 3, or so he does have his choice of his arsenal in terms of what he could equip. I would say a good it stinks because there's so many items he could choose from. The first one would be I'd say that Isaac would probably have his landmine. Now it very distinctively has 3 blue lines to shoot across it, but if Spider-Man is trying to fight through necromorphs, what stops him from seeing that being right there next to him? I feel like Isaac would be smart. He wouldn't try to take on Spider-Man head on, and he would set up as many fucking traps as he could possibly think of. Because in Dead Space 3, Isaac is smart. He's trying to be safe. He's crafty. But the game will not let him afford to be that. He will get thrown around as much as he possibly could. But I feel like wise, anxious, cautious Isaac Clarke, he'd be putting a shit ton of landmines down. And just in case, I feel like he would have his Air Force gun. A gun that kind of like repels people. And so I feel like if Spider-Man were to get too close, he would just fucking use his force gun and just blow him into a necromorph or something. The necromorph would just bite him.
I would think that would work maybe once or twice, the force gun. I don't think the mines would buy Isaac a lot of time. Now, what a lot of people tend to forget, or at least what's not emphasized a lot, is the fact that Peter Parker is a very smart individual. He created this fluid that creates his webbing that can handle tons of pressure. It can hold tons of weight, and I literally mean tons. Its tensile strength is even Tony Stark couldn't think about it. He was impressed by it. Coupled along with the fact that his spider senses are a lot better than Daredevil's, and so it gives him the edge on reaction time and avoiding necromorphs while he's maneuvering around the ship.
Okay, fair enough. My big question is this Peter Parker. What is his lifting capacity?
A lot. He's able to a lot. We've seen him lift at the very least buses, full-size buses.
Okay, so we're talking about something somewhere, let's say around 10 tons.
Let's say
he can
something
lift up to
around
about 20,000 pounds, maybe a little bit heavier depending on the bus and whatnot. Who's in it, because there could be a lot of fat Joes in there. There is a lot of shit that could fall on him that he would have to try to carry. Now, a couple of things I want to point out. Isaac Clarke, probably one of his, he has 2 signature abilities he could do. He could stasis and he can kinesis.
Yes.
What would happen if Isaac Clarke was to shoot stasis at Spider-Man while he's trying to get towards him? Do you think Spider-Man would be able to dodge something that big and broad? Because that slows down everything.
I don't think he'd be able to dodge it the first few times. So again, in an environment, as far as I know, traditionally in an environment that he's new to, or at least something that he's not seen before, it takes him a little while to learn or pick up things pretty quick. I would imagine
Blue shooting at him. I like to think that if he saw it head on, he would have the
I would like to avoid that. Yeah, no, that's what I was getting at too. Like I would like to think that he would tend to avoid things, but that's the one place where Isaac has an edge. If he can manage to stasis him and then knock him out, because I do think Isaac would avoid trying to kill him.
I mean,
because there are situations here where they're forced to fight each other to escape.
I mean, let's be real. Of all the things where Isaac has chosen to, harm somebody or incapacitate him or just flat out kill him, Isaac has a pretty nasty kill record, unfortunately.
No, I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm just saying I think Isaac would prefer to not.
I don't think,
but he wouldn't hesitate.
But he would. He's so used to these necromorphs that he would, at the very least, try to maim Spider-Man in a way that Spider-Man would not be as effective. My main thought process is here is he would put landmines down with the lasers, so Spider-Man would have to finesse through them, presumably well. But alongside stasis, Isaac Clarke can shoot stasis out and slow down everything. But there is another form of stasis that exists in the game that he could take advantage of that Spider-Man couldn't really dodge.
So
stasis barrels.
I just got a number here just to quickly interject.
Yeah.
Spider-Man can lift and throw objects about as heavy as a big rig semi-truck with ease.
Okay. I mean, that goes much further.
So that's going
there,
up into like 80 tons.
That's ooh. I mean, there's a lot of numbers. You could pull the biggest number if you want to, but no.
So just to get some clarification on strength, but I don't know how that'll help him in that situation, because blowing things up or punching holes into the ship, it might not necessarily be the best strategy.
Yeah, that's a bit of a kamikaze move. It didn't work out well for him in Infinity War. No offense. There was a scene where him and
I don't know what
Tony
you're talking about.
Okay, whatever. Anyways. My question is, though, there are stasis barrels where, if shot, will cause stasis on everything near it. Does he have a good counter for that if he didn't know what it was at the time? If he just saw it sitting right there and he was dodging landmines and getting ready to shoot up Isaac Clarke, and Isaac Clarke took a pot shot at that stasis barrel, what could Spidey do to defend himself? Because that pierces walls, that pierces a lot of stuff. I don't know what Spider-Man could personally do. Spider-Man would still technically, I would say, since Spider-Man is superhuman fast, it would put him at most just a little bit below normal speed, just because of how time is slowed down.
It would depend on whether, while the explosion happens, the stasis explosion happens. Here I'm nitpicking, whether he's on the ground or he's in the air. He won't have as much maneuverability while he's in the air, but on the ground, his legs, because of how much he's able to lift, his legs are pretty quick, so he could throw himself out of the way if he were to detect the explosion quick enough.
And I feel like the further away you would be from the explosion, the less of an effect it would have. So, instead of having being stuck for full on 5-6 seconds, it might just try to eat him or slow him down a little bit for a second or two. It's just maybe not as me as the player, but Isaac Clarke is a pretty good shot. I just feel like if you were to take on Isaac Clarke head on, just a plasma cutter alone would be able to put him in
I think I was thinking defending Spider-Man in terms of the way I think I would play him in the video games. I would charge at things pretty recklessly. I just go in, but he's really small and it's a big ship. I feel like he'd be able to, and with the way he can stick to walls and climb walls, I think he'd worm his way into vents to try and avoid a lot of the necromorphs, to try and locate Isaac, then approach him from behind, web him up, and then have the door open and then leave. And then I think you try to bring Isaac along with him.
If there's one thing that Spider-Man, I think, would be smart enough to do is set up a trap of his own. Mm-hmm. I feel like Spider-Man would make a big ass scene and then go quiet real quick. Find a nice room like the atrium or something. And then when Isaac Clarke goes in to investigate and lay traps down, Spider-Man has already hacked the door in such a way to lock him in. And Spider-Man will be hiding in the shadows up above or something, ready to slingshot the weapon away instantly. Now, if that was the case, that would still leave Isaac Clarke with one last weapon. I think he would have that Spider-Man would have a very hard ability to dodge because he can spam it like so viciously, and that's kinesis. I mean, what stops Isaac Clarke from ripping an arm off?
I don't think he would go for what do you call it? His weapon. I think he'd just go in straight for the kill and tie his hands up, his limbs up together, and then just incapacitate him immediately. Honestly, in this case, I feel like Isaac would have to be lucky to win.
At that point, he would be in a trap situation. I feel like Isaac would hide a lot, and that's when they would have this wild banter contest between the two of them as Spider-Man's like falling on the ceiling. And Isaac's like, so what kind of fucking bug are you this time? And he's like, actually, I'm a necromorph. Sorry, not necromorph, an arachnid. You know, it's like, don't science me, you fucking kid.
I think Isaac has a good set of weapons and skills to maybe make the best out of a lucky situation. He might have the because he's familiar with the systems of the ship and because he's an active engineer. I think he might have the advantage technologically wise with just his environment. But reportedly, according to the main line of comics, Peter Parker has a IQ of 250 or whatever, rivaling that of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, and Hank Pym, who created the Ant-Man technology. And combine that
and
with
Isaac is an alcoholic. Yes, I get it.
And combined with his years of street fighting as a teenager, putting himself in positions of constant harm since then, I feel like Spider-Man would have the edge. With Isaac being a little bit delusional, a little bit deranged, he's lost in space alone at the end of Dead Space 3, somehow still alive, and he has to fight off these necromorphs and still somehow fight off this strange human thing that's not a necromorph but is trying to defeat him.
If there's one thing that would keep Spider-Man at bay, and you see it a lot in movies often, at least for just show the power of the villain, is large object chaos. And yes. I feel like if Isaac wanted just try to figure out what the fuck is facing, he would start grabbing just huge objects and start lobbing it up at the ceiling just to see what would happen. And I don't see what stops Isaac Clarke from ripping open a door to the outside and just say fucking and leaving the ship. And I'm not. Isaac only has about maybe 2-3 minutes worth of oxygen, so he could escape into a different area. So, but I mean, at that point, that'd be leaving the arena. I don't think that would be really winning the fight there by sucking the air out. I don't know how much oxygen Spider-Man would have in his little iron suit. If he would have infinite. I'm
not sure. I don't think he'd have infinite, but it'd be, let's say, similar amount to Isaac.
Okay. I feel like Isaac would create panic then. He wouldn't leave, but he would rip open a hole into the hull to set a time limit to see who would survive.
I mean, we've seen that happen in Infinity War, where he was able to use his mandibles, the mechanical ones, to keep himself inside the ship and seal up the hole.
That is true. I mean, I'm not trying to suck Spider-Man out the hole. I'm just trying to kill all the oxygen in the area just to create a little extra pressure. Okay. I do feel like you're right. I feel like Isaac would have a losing fight at this point because he's never really had to face a necromorph quite like this before. Because this necromorph is hella smart. he's only had to face a bunch of big dummies so far. So one that can actually respond and give him petty insults while he webs them up. That would be hard. I feel like Spider-Man would not actually go immediately for the kill either. I feel like he would like spiderweb down behind Isaac and say, "Hey, what's up?" And then Isaac would be like, "What the fuck?" and just start shooting. And they're like, "Whoa! I'm just a guy who red suit over here."
And at the end of it all, I think if Spider-Man were to win, he'd try and figure out a way to get both of them away from the situation and save both of them. Isaac would like to at this point after Dead Space 3. Isaac would like to, but he just wants to get the fuck home. I think to see whatever that bitch's name is. I can't remember her name.
Ellie, Nicole, take your pick. Carver.
Neither of them. Ellie, that was her name. Carver. Because like Spider-Man survived a fight with the Hulk.
He did, but I mean, there's characters where he's faced, such as Kraven. Kraven is a notorious hunter that Spider-Man had to face in the comics, and Spider-Man typically won in the end, but the initial fight he usually lost to Kraven.
That's true.
Kraven was crazy. Now this isn't
and also Hulk is the brute force as well. This is just so this isn't a best out of 3 situation. This is a one-time 1v1.
It'd be like Spider-Man versus like Nick Fury or something like that. It's like, can Nick Fury win against Spider-Man? I'd say.
Oh, I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
What the hell does Nick Fury have that Isaac Clarke wouldn't, besides being a badass and missing an eyeball?
It's Nick
Which
Fury.
he should,
like,
by the way.
Nick Fury sees everything.
I mean, Isaac Clarke, through the power of commentary and stuff, I feel like he would see a lot of shit. Like, it would cutscene it for him at this point. Like, it gives him almost a sixth sense of sorts.
I think this is. I think it leans towards Spider-Man 65-35. I think that would be.
Okay, so you say Spider-Man has the edge. It wouldn't be 100% fight, but I feel like.
I think with a few like either well-placed traps, or maybe if he gets lucky with a few stasis shots, like either through barrels or through his own stasis, or manipulating kinesis in some way, Isaac could win, because that would put Spider-Man out of his element. But
in the end, Isaac Clarke is just a man who also has a hell of a very unique set of weapons and a couple of superhuman-like powers. That is normal to him, but it gives him, superhuman according, to world, was it 316 or 616? I forgot what it was that Spider-Man
616, yeah.
616, pardon me. So I feel like in the end, Spider-Man would win, but you're right. I feel like Spider-Man would be a goody two-shoe and say, why don't we just both fucking get out of here and fuck this Saw game? So I'll let the win slide to Spider-Man. I can work with that. Also, the fact that you try to suggest you'd go through the ventilation and not get immediately eaten by necromorphs from different directions.
You'd be able to tell where they are.
Yeah, I guess.
But his spider sense is better than most radars. His spider sense is top tier. You'd be able to tell exactly where they are and which way he needs to go.
And those necromorphs can like smell vibrations from like a fucking mile away. They'd find him so quickly, and he would try to sneak around. It'd be like this god-awful game of Pac-Man. Where there's no dots. You just want to get the fuck out and find the.
Which at that point you lay a few web traps, cause them to get caught in a sticky mess for a little bit.
He could web behind him, and if worst comes to worst, he's strong enough that he could just rip himself out of the ventilation, almost,
pretty much
in a comedy fashion. Okay, fine. I'll slide it to Spider-Man. Isaac Clarke would have his fair chance, but he is outmatched very classily, I would say. I was trying to find somebody that could fit, like, what happens if I put Isaac Clarke versus Lara Croft or something like that? It's like, ooh. But the problem is, though,
Isaac Clarke would whoop her ass.
That's the main problem, because unfortunately, if the superhuman powers, all it takes is one stasis or kinesis, and she's trying to aim with her bow, and it's just fucking game over.
Nathan Drake versus Lara Croft.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
that would be a good one. That would be pretty much Minimus versus Venomus at that point, though. So that would be interesting if you would like to set up that debate.
Do you want to tell us what our little topic of the show is here today?
Absolutely. Before we do that, though, I just want to give a small shout out, because we are actually going a little bit live. We're now at 5 viewers, and I want to give a shout out to people like
hi, people.
Brandon, Peter, Q, Cam. Cam's been sharing the love just because I've been trying to be cool with him, and it looks like he's sending the love back. So thank you guys for listening to the show. Topic of the show: there was a new Pokemon movie that was revealed for this year, I believe, in Japan, and Nick here is given the biggest sigh potentially possible. I mean, he could give a deeper, baser. I'm gonna give a sigh as well. It's fucking ridiculous, man. So what's making you give the big sigh? What's going on here? What's the Pokemon? What's the legendary Pokemon in this?
So basically, it's a remake of the Mewtwo movie, the first Pokemon movie.
Wait, Pokemon the first movie?
I think so. The one with where Mewtwo escapes, and then he lures all the trainers to the island, and then he makes clones of the Pokemon. He's like, "You trainers don't know what you're doing. Pokemon shouldn't be enslaved. I'm gonna fuck you all up. I'm gonna beat you all. I'm the strongest Pokemon around." This is when he was only aware of 151 Pokemon and didn't know that the god of Pokemon existed, Arceus. But anyways,
shout out to Stray. Apparently, I missed him, but I didn't see him type in chat. My bad.
God damn it, Tyler.
Goddamn Stray for not typing.
So the movie comes out, I think, sometime in July in Japan.
Yes, in Japan, and as I'm assuming the biggest sigh is the fact that it's coming out in CGI versus your ye old animation of cartoony look.
Yes. I cannot fault anybody for trying something new, and which is why I think they're not making a quote unquote new movie, but a remake of an existing movie to test out the whole style. but I just cannot visualize it. I like even that 1 minute long trailer that really didn't show much, just Mewtwo flying through a bunch of clouds and then meeting Mew at the end. It was hard to envision. It looked like one of the trailers that they put out for the trading card games, which are often like in CGI style like this.
Yes,
and I couldn't get that out of my head. Like that's all I could see, like this cheesy
You're waiting to see a booster
style, and yeah,
the trailer.
I'm not excited for it because a big part of the charm for Pokemon was the animation style, because it carried over quite well, in my opinion, between the games and the anime and the movies. Like it created this nice consistency regardless of whether you like the anime movies or the games. It still all felt the same. It still felt similar. It felt consistent. It still felt like it all belonged. And so this is strange.
It feels weird because it feels like a move by Nintendo to go for a cash grab, because they're so used to putting out a movie with every time there's a new legendary that they can, try to work with. Also, shout out to the fact they were posting the I don't remember what the movie was called, but it featured Victini and the two dragon Pokemon, which Nezcrom, I believe, and Reshiram.
Zekrom and Reshiram.
Yes, it was a good movie. In fact, I watched it twice on Twitch. That was good, but it feels weird because Pokemon the first movie and the sequel to that Pokemon the movie Mewtwo Returns, it was a very awesome product of its time because Pokemon was still in its near infancy in the American market, and seeing something of that quality really brought people together. There's so much promotion with it. Like, fuck, Burger King was giving out Pokeballs that had like 2 karat gold cards inside of them, and there was just so much shit and hype over it that people loved the movie. It turned out to be a damn good movie too. And so the idea that they're trying to make a CGI 3D version of this, it seems almost unoriginal. It seems kind of boring, in fact.
I mean, putting that as like, I can understand why they're doing it this way. I would prefer that it's done and tested this way. Again, I agree that it seems a little bit unoriginal. Maybe some might argue even lazy, that they're just taking literally the story and like whatever storyboards from a different movie and making this just with a different art style, or animation completely CGI. It's just, I don't like it, but I'm going to wait to see it. Maybe I'll see it. I'm not sure if I'll see it. I've fallen off the Pokemon movies in the last few years, but I'm just glad at least.
I got an important question for the both of us that we should answer here. Are we grumpy old man children? Yes. Are we just complaining about something?
No, that's pretty much been established ever since we started complaining about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. So I'm not even I'm insulted that you have to ask that question, Tyler.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. I'll check my question asking privileges. It feels like we're griping over nothing if you think about it in hindsight. In hindsight, it's always 2020, right?
I think a big part of it is that it seems always frustrating that the core fan base tends to not be considered or tends to be ignored. But then I can't blame a corporation or a company for wanting to expand its audience reach. And so, a lot of the newer games, Let's Go is essentially a way to introduce a general casual audience into the complex world of the Pokemon games and how difficult they can get if you wanted to dive that, go that route. But if you still want to just enjoy the games for what they are, you can, play something similar to Let's Go whenever the next game comes out.
Would you say that you are technically part of the core Pokemon fans?
I'm part of the. I would argue we're part of the old guard.
The old guard. Oh boy.
We're part of the old guard. Things are changing, not necessarily for the better.
Let me ask you a second question then.
Yes.
This might challenge it.
Yeah.
What's the last Pokemon movie you've seen?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a good question, because maybe we are not the ones that are actually watching the movies, and we're the wrong audience that is catering to at this point, because I feel like
which is what I was trying to touch upon as well. Like, I'm just talking about my preference and what made the movies, the anime, and the games feel connected, being the art style and the fact that they're trying something like this. I don't like it, but I can understand them, appealing to a different audience, to a younger audience, maybe to bring more people in so that they're selling more games, more people playing the games, more people are watching the anime and stuff. Let me pull up the list of Pokemon movies here.
It just throws me off. I'm trying to figure out what the main benefit is. I mean, if they do it in CGI, it gives them a chance to remake the Mewtwo versus Mew movie. But at the same time, it's like that's a lot more money to be blowing onto a movie. So it's like, it feels like a lot of effort just to remake something that's pretty good. Just make an HD version of Pokemon the first movie. It can still be pretty damn good. I would like to think.
Oh boy, are you ready?
Yes.
The last movie I watched was in 2010, or at
And
least
what-
it came out in 2010.
What's the
Zero Master of Illusions.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the last one I watched involved it's called Mew in the Tree of Life or something like that, or the Mystery of Mew or something like that.
Lucario and the Mystery of Mew.
Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. Okay. And what about
That came out in 2005.
Fair fucking enough.
But I mean,
So,
if you watched the movies with Zekrom and Reshiram, they came out in 2011.
We do have 2 questions coming in if you're
Yeah,
ready for this.
sure.
The first one is by Q. What is the favorite or your best Pokemon game that you've played? Or I'm assuming he means what your favorite is or what you think is the best game.
I don't think it's the best game, but my favorite is Platinum. It's the first game I got when first Pokemon game I got after the Game Boy Advance, when I lost my Game Boy Advance and then I couldn't play Emerald anymore. And my mom bought me a DS Lite, and then I got Platinum, and then I sank 210 hours into it.
Nice. For a main core Pokemon game, I would probably say Pokemon Ruby for me specifically, because that introduced the abilities and it changed a lot in terms of competitive play. In terms of side game, I was always a big fan of Pokemon Snap and or Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy Color, not the Game Boy Advance one, but that's only because I never played it.
Right.
Now, second question is, what about Detective Pikachu? Do you think you're hyped up for that, or is that just not really on your field here?
Did we not talk about Detective Pikachu when the trailer came out? I feel like we did, or I might have been talking about it with
mentioned
friends.
a little bit, and my saying that Ryan Reynolds might need to take a seat back because he's getting a little too hot right now. But I mean, are you excited to see that when it comes out?
I'll watch it when it comes out. I'm gonna hold off any kind of judgment because based on the trailer, I don't like that particular style of CGI.
You don't like Mr. Mime?
No, Mr. Mime was one of the few that were well done, I think. Mind you, because from the official artworks that from Ken Sugimori and a lot of the other artists that worked on the Pokemon designs, like for example Jigglypuff. Based on the artwork, to me Jigglypuff looks like a smooth-haired creature.
Criminal. Oh, okay, yes.
Sure. But in the movie, Jigglypuff is very much a fuzzy creature. And so there's just these few disconnects here and there that I'm not seeing the connections in my head yet. Or at least I'm not agreeing with.
Would you believe her or a Jigglypuff to be more rubbery colored or
No,
smooth?
I understand, but here I'm being nitpicky about the differences between fuzzy fur and then short-haired, kind of coat. But to me, it's just there's a dissonance in what I was imagining they'd look like in CGI in a real-life setting and what their artwork is. And so I'm just going to hold off until I actually see it to see if some of that dissonance goes away. Even Pikachu doesn't look as furry to me. Mice in general are not that fuzzy. They're short-haired and their coats are a lot thinner. Not super fuzzy like that. But I can understand why they'd make Pikachu fuzzy because it's Pikachu. You have to make him appealing for kids.
I personally feel like Detective Pikachu, I'm going to treat it the same way like I did Venom, where we understand that Venom, the movie, is going to be kind of detached away from Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, simply because it's owned by Sony. The show is being run by Sony, and Marvel's like, don't fuck this up for us, please. And we're like, okay, we'll do our best. And so people watched Venom, and it turned out Venom, even though it was separate from Marvel, was pretty damn good. It wasn't top notch, but it was still pretty good.
It was entertaining, start to finish. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Detective Pikachu is pretty attached away from the rest of the Pokemon thing. I'm not sure how much Nintendo is gonna say, hey, this is our new child over here. Look at us doing the great movies. We're gonna make it out here. They're gonna, give it some support. Last few months, they're gonna leave it alone, see it where it takes off in the water, and if it does great, Nintendo will be like, "That's my stepchild," and if not, Nintendo's like, "What's that?"
I will say though, there's the one Pokemon in the trailer that I think was the closest thing that I was imagining to what they would look like in a real life, in a CGI kind of real life movie, live action movie. Okay. And that was Emolga. So I think in the marketplace, when shortly after the young kid and Pikachu meet, they're walking down the marketplace, you'll see a bunch of Emolga just sitting on one of the roofs of a shack. And to me, they're because Emolga is, I think, modeled after a flying squirrel, and the kind of pelt or coat that a squirrel has, that's what it seemed like on Emolga, where it was kind of short and smooth and just sticking closer to the skin. And to me, that seemed a lot more realistic than, or at least matched up with what I thought Emolga looked like.
Honestly, I think it's going to be an okay game. Okay game.
It's probably going to be an okay movie.
Game with the 3DS, but everybody forgot existed. We still don't Has anybody ever fucking played Detective Pikachu for the 3DS?
I've never heard of anybody playing Detective Pikachu for the 3DS.
No one's ever fucking mentioned, even though it was supposed to be such a big
never heard
thing.
of it.
Now everybody's like, "There's a movie coming out. This is the first time I've heard of Detective Pikachu." Okay, so
it's Ryan Reynolds. I think it's gonna be funny. I think it's gonna be an okay movie. I'm just gonna wait until I see it.
Ryan Reynolds, like, on a 1 to 10 scale, I feel like it's an instant +4 to anything that could happen. So they would have to flop fairly hard. And even then, I feel like even if it's a bad movie, I feel like Ryan Reynolds would be able to have fun with it. And then if not, then Deadpool will take care of the rest and say, "Hey," because Ryan Reynolds will fucking do that if he gets the chance. We'll see. So I think that's pretty much it. Except I do have one personal question of my own.
Yes, sir.
What? Out of all the Pokemon, and I know if you've caught them all because you're a goddamn beautiful monster that has a living dex, what is the most unoriginal Pokemon?
I think this is where me and Cam agreed upon, despite Generation 5 being his favorite generation in terms of games. I think Generation 5 had some of the most uninspired Pokemon designs. And I too come to mind specific immediately when this question was when I saw this question. Trubbish and Vanillux or Vanillite. Honestly, those were two of the most uninspired designs that I could ever
So the counterpoint your Trubbish question, you don't like it because it's essentially a bag of garbage with eyeballs.
Yes.
So we also have a purple pile of shit with eyeballs known as Grimer. So what is the difference? What makes one more original here? What's going on?
I think background and ability wise, they make Grimer and Muck seem a lot more versatile, right? And they've adapted to kind of their environment. They can do all these different things. You've got a Lowland Grimer, a Lowland Muck that have these different forms or whatever. Whereas with Trubbish and Garbodor, it's kind of like sure, similar kind of concept to Muck and Grimer, but just even design wise, it's not. It's kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, we just put some eyes on. Pretty much, 100% they are trash. Whereas, like you can, I understand your counter argument when it comes to Grimer and Muck, but they're labeled as poison Pokemon. They existed, like they evolved from all this pollution that we're putting out to have this own unique, to some extent unique form that's constantly moving. They can squish down as much as they want. They can move around like this. They can throw lobs of poison at their enemies. Whereas Trubbish are just like, all right, that's my 6-week-old garbage bag that I left full and went on vacation. Now I come back and everything's alive. Kind of design. Whereas with Vanillux, Vanillite,
if I can get trash out for more than 2 days and it becomes its own entity and then leaves, I'd be okay with that. That would save me a lot of bill. If it comes back, I'd be like, shit.
I need to get the names of this right.
Vanilla, I believe you're referring to the ice cream Pokemon?
Yeah, Vanillite, Vanillish, and Vanillux.
Yes, the more scoops, everybody.
I don't get it. I honestly, I don't understand what the thought process behind this Pokemon was.
They're probably thinking at the time, what are our favorite things and can we turn it into Pokemon? Like, for example, when I get the fuck out of work, and it's like, well, Nintendo HR is like, motherfucker, let's go with this. How do you leave work? Car. What do you need? Keys. Make it a key. Key Pokemon. Klefki. Bam. Wham, bam, think of bam.
Klefki, the only reason I didn't maybe necessarily think of Klefki was because Klefki is a son of a bitch to fight. It's a little thing, but because it's Steel Fairy typing is like, it makes it close to invincible.
Look, Garbodor is a very useful Pokemon when it comes to the trading card game. So if you're going to talk about versatility, I'm going to start to debunk you right here and now. But
I have no knowledge when it comes to the trading card game, so I can't even argue with you there.
Okay. The other 3 Pokemon, 2 are serious, 1 is a joke. The 2 I'm going to pick from are in the original ones. I already forgot one of them, so I guess I'm down to 2. Maybe I'll remember. The first one is Geodude. It's been agreed on in the Pixelmon Gen server that I'm on that Geodude is very uninspiring. It's a fucking rock that's constantly flexing Hulk Hogan style, but it's just a piece of rock with eyeballs, essentially, and a mouth.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I don't know why it has a mouth. I think it's just so it can say Geodude. And I did remember my second of 3 Pokemon. The second one I'd like to point out is Dugtrio. It's just 3 Diglets fucking together, okay? I mean, it's kind of like Magneton. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here?
You see, I can kind of understand that. I think there's a lot of mystery surrounding Diglett and Dugtrio. What's below the ground? What do they?
I mean, if the pictures are to be believed, a bunch of oiled up bodybuilders holding each other.
But okay, I can.
That is a fantastic picture.
I've seen the pictures. I can agree with those. Yeah.
And the third one I'd like to say is probably the most unoriginal. Is probably Eevee. But
yeah, I figured. I was waiting for that. I'm surprised you did. I'm surprised you didn't say that was your first choice.
Don't worry, it evolves into something kind of original, like red Eevee, blue Eevee, yellow Eevee. Eevee's original.
I mean, genetically, it does make sense that when something becomes older or changes, it still has some physical features that harken back to its original appearance.
That is true. It just sucks because Eevee looks so goddamn boring that it kind of negatively affects the other forms. But that's okay. You slap a ribbon on it, bam.
You know what? Everybody has an opinion, even if they're wrong. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's a big step for you, Nick. I really thought you wouldn't be so humble, but you really put it out there. Thank you.
Okay.
You know what stinks though? Just a complete side note. I'm not gonna.
What stinks? Garbodor and Trubbish.
Nick with the jokes. I really got excited because I thought there was going to be a Alolan form for Eevee. And what I saw, and it must have just been a joke goof up, is a picture of Eevee that was, I believe, dark, but it had 1980s glasses that had the stripes through the lens, and it looked like a pimpin' ass Eevee. And I was very upset when they didn't have that. It should have fucking gave Eevee with the goon from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Bebop's sunglasses. It would have been looking fucking awesome.
I think a dragon evolution for Eevee would be pretty sick.
So
I don't know how that would look, but I think it would be pretty sick.
Kingdom did suggest something here, and I'm going to put a vendetta to it. Eevee needs the evolution to another Eevee that's also normal type. Like this could be how Pikachu never wants to evolve. Like Eevee just wants to remain the same. Eevee needs to be original kind of thing.
I can imagine. I can see that. I can see like an Eevee at level 50 evolving into like a swole Eevee, like a buff, like a fuck your shit up Eevee that just starts walking on 2 legs.
Nice. I also wonder what like Hoopa kind of Hoopa specifically. I wonder what it'd be like if Eevee turned into evolution that had all the types that Eevee was. Water, fire, lightning, just all of the fucking types all just meshed into one.
But Tyler, there is a Pokemon that exists like that.
Are you talking about Arceus?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, Arceus is pretty much the
what if Eevee is the base form of Arceus?
Oh man, it's the Fion to Manaphy. It's the Eevee to Arceus. I mean, technically they're on
because Eevee's DNA is unstable, and so exposure to certain radiation forces its evolution to change. Arceus, all you have to do is give him a little USB drive, and he can use any move that he wants.
Nice. My final question before we... No, that's fucking cool. God damn, we're about to break the lore over here. Jesus.
Tyler, do you want to start a Pokemon lore podcast?
Is there another type of Eevee that you would like to see happen? Evolution. Poison.
Poison would be cool. I think I'd like to see what they'd be able to do with the flying type Eevee. Make not necessarily give it wings, but maybe like a flying squirrel, kind of like flesh flaps webbing.
A nice white and with dark gray pattern to it too. I can imagine.
Sure.
Me personally, I would love to see a steel Eevee. I think it would be cool.
That would be pretty cool too. Yeah.
Mecha Eevee.
Oh, it'll just look like normal, like base form Eevee, but just steel, like Mega Noise.
I mean, we do have a Pokemon that kind of acts like that. I believe it's called Type Null or something like that. Where it's
yeah.
Which, it'd be cool. I think it evolves into Sylvaney or something like a Sylvalet. Okay, but honestly, I feel like he was suggesting a fighting type Eevee, just this giant ass Eevee with swole forearms. Eevee! Do you even know people, bro?
Swoley!
Oh god! Swolleon. Oh my gosh. Jesus Christ. What are we doing here? Oh man. So what do we got for game releases?
It's pretty slow. We've only got 3 big game releases coming out on the 11th of January. We've got Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey coming out on the console, a device I've never heard of, 3DS.
So Bowser's Inside Story, I believe, came out originally on the Nintendo DS, and it's being released on this. It's like putting a fucking badge of honor that you can play on a corpse. Why would they fucking do this? It's coming out.
I have no idea. Yeah, it's coming out for the 3DS. Then we've got new Super Mario's Bros. Ultimate Deluxe, January 11th for the Switch.
So the Nintendo's next big game, their first party title, which they haven't really put too much on, is
that was the first time I'm hearing about this too. I was surprised.
They're making a new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which I'm assuming is going to be kind of like the Wii U, because if it's a U, it came from the Wii U, which is also another dead console that is thankfully staying dead. Also, Cam suggests bug Eevee, so I'd like to see what that looks like too. So it's just a port. It's an updated port plus some. So I mean, they haven't fucked up with ports before. So I mean,
never heard of it. I never heard of it.
I don't. You never heard of? Well, I mean, it came out for the Wii U, so I can't blame.
No, I'm saying I've never heard of ports being fucked up before.
Oh, I mean, has there been a port that came out into the Switch from Nintendo that's been bad?
Not that I've heard of. Like, they've all been okay. Like, Doom's been okay.
I would like to have a countermeasure just so, like, Nintendo, you better know that way you didn't fuck up like you did with this. So far, it's usually new shit like ARMS or Labo that's been kind of screwy. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll make them a bunch of money. So,
we've got one more game on the list: Tales of Vesperia, the definitive edition, coming out on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch on the 11th of Jan as well.
So everything but Mac, essentially, which is interesting because Tales of Vesperia, I'm pretty sure that's not even the latest one. I believe Berseria was the latest one that came out. And so I guess it's just getting a remake update. And
probably.
I wonder, do they even look at fucking sales? They just put a bunch of names on a dartboard and say, which one we're going to remake? Poof, Vesperia. Okay, sure.
I think that's accurate. I think that's probably what a lot of these companies do. They're like, this game out of the original trilogy that released 10 years ago, game number 2 was the best, but I really think people would really enjoy playing game number 1, despite them asking us repeatedly for game number 2.
Square Enix with Final Fantasy games. This day in gaming, there wasn't anything too crazy, so I think we're in a section if you don't.
Like we've like what has been the norm for the last few weeks. December, January is pretty slow for the most part for game releases, both current and in the past. But yeah.
Good deal. So let's do some wrap up and plugins. You can find me since I'm narcissistic enough to put myself first. Sorry,
I was gonna put you first anyways. So fuck you.
It's okay. And outside the podcast, I always put you first, buddy. So you can check me out. I'm on Twitter. I'm at 2times all one word, all letters. No, don't actually put it 2. Just put the word 2. TWO. Don't hurt yourself here. This is English. English is good. Nick, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at LRWarrior11. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/LRWarrior11. You can find the show, Casual Master Quest, on our Twitter at MasterQuestPod, or email us at casualmasterquest@gmail.com. Comments, concerns, questions. You wanna find out more about our personal lives. You wanna just hang out. You wanna yell at us. We're here for everything. Yeah. And
I also would like to point out, upon Nick's suggestion, I think we should start building up the idea. We're doing live today for the first time in ever, just because it's been a while. Little bit.
Yeah.
But apparently, we found a bunch of cool people that really wanted to actually have talks with us, and that was awesome. Thank you guys for the sudden sparked interest. And hopefully, if you guys are still interested, we'd love to hear your questions. You can think of over time, and we can start a nice Q&A of some sort.
I was thinking, maybe every now and then, every, let's say, 4 episodes, we could we decide on a topic beforehand, decide on a date and time, and then just, see if people show up, ask us questions, interact with live questions, live audiences, see how that turns out. And I think this was a tiny experiment to see how that would go. And I think it went okay.
I think it went okay.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, take us away. This is the end of the episode, man.
All right, yeah, it is the end of the episode, and I'm the host, apparently. I forget how these things work. Thank you very much for listening. Have a happy new year. We are Casual Master Quest. That is Tyler in that corner over there, sounding sexy as ever.
Yeah.
I am Nick, LR Warrior. The only
Are you
the
going to plug it last second? Are you still... I'm Tyler.
We are Casual Masochists, and don't forget to never stop the grind. Bye.
See you guys next week, baby.